Welcome to my channel and enjoy this video.
Excuses. He tries to attack him repeatedly this time, but he dodges him every time. Daniel is shocked that he is fast and heavy like a hammer, and if he gets him, then he is dead. Vasco finds something strange and thinks he is trained, but he seems to dodge on a beginner's instincts. After that, he hits him, thinking his one shot will be enough for him, but Daniel dodges him this time again, but this is a close one. Vasco says he may have avoided Zach Lee's fists, but he is different. Daniel asks him why he is beating him and what he has done wrong, but he thinks he is either a good liar or he feels no guilt. Vasco then asks him to give the money he received from the lady a while ago. Daniel is surprised and wonders if he saw that, and now he is trying to steal his money. Meanwhile, Vasco thinks he will give this money to the convenience store kid, while Daniel thinks Vasco is also one of them, and he is used to giving up his money. He remembers his mother disgrading herself and giving the money to him, and he can't let him take it away from him like that. He refuses to give him the money, and Vasco thinks he now shows his true colors. He is ready to fight in the posture Zach taught him, and says no one can steal his money. Vasco calls him selfish and says he won't give something that isn't his. He judges by his posture that he is an outboxer, and this is where his dodging skill comes from. He knows the basics of this skill. He just needs to take a shot and strike the jaw, and he is ready to break his resilient and confident posture. He thinks guys like him can penetrate it, and he targets him, thinking he will lead with the pelvis and release the arm from the shoulders. Daniel is about to punch him, but Vasco also reaches his face, and they get to each other. After a while, his men are shocked to see Vasco lying there in an unconscious state, and Daniel runs to his home. He sleeps, and the fat Daniel wakes up. He is happy that he got his money and hopes that he didn't kill him. On the other side, Vasco is unconscious and thinks his timing is perfect, but before he lands the blow, he turns his head and delivers a backspin elbow. He was wrong and thought this guy was not an outboxer. He now knows that he can't beat a guy like that. He calls Jace and tells him he lost to that guy, but he is shocked because Vasco has never lost to anyone. Meanwhile, the fat Daniel reaches the convenience store for his part-time job. At the same time, another student named Namsu always takes a lot of time to go to school because he says he has nothing to wear. His mother calls him and says he is going to school but not to a fashion show, and he replies that he is just wearing what he always does. He thinks if he were a game character, then he would have only the most basic equipment. He feels like he won't ever get a chance to restart. He had lived his life sloppily with only the most basic items, and this was the only life he knew. Once, his mother brought some shoes his uncle wore in college, but he refused, saying they were 10 years old and that he couldn't wear them. He feels embarrassed, thinking people will rip on him for these 10-year-old shoes. However, the day he wore his passed-down shoes to school, the girls really liked them and said the shoes were pretty good, but they were sold out everywhere. Namsu is surprised at this appraisal, and his embarrassment lessens a little bit. He had always been so sloppy until he discovered the power of luxury items. He squeezes some shoe goo to stop the soles from wearing out, and his Jordan becomes too expensive, costing around 5 lakh won. The glasses he has been begging his mom to get cost around 2 lakh won. He also obtained second-hand chrome hearts, and their price was 9 lakh won. He took a 2-hour subway to the seller's place, got 6 lakh won off, and used all his lunch money and savings to buy these items. He thinks that with these things, he is now a hero and is overflowing with confidence. Everyone looks like a nerd to him, and he is ready to go to the school and show off his gear. He goes to school, where he first meets Zach. He asks if he is wearing the same kicks again and asks him not to wear those. Namsu is surprised that he got the higher quality gear, while Zach is annoyed because they look like a couple in these shoes. Zach then turns behind and says it's not his business. He also calls other students to leave Namsu alone. He is shocked and wonders if he hasn't seen his chrome hearts since this is the real deal he has. He hopes that everyone come and take a look at his rings, but is shocked to see that silent guy's fingers covered in chrome hearts rings. He is shocked to see that his bag and bracelet are Hermes, and he is wearing a Hublot watch and Laobaotan kicks. His name is Jahong, and Namsu never notices him since he is so quiet. However, 2 boys notice his ring, say the brand makes the man, and praise him a bit. Namsu is happy that he is getting attention from those loaded guys. But he soon gets sad to see that they already have a bunch of rings in their hands. The girls also look toward them, and one of them brags that he is getting a bike this weekend, while the other one says he will ask his dad for the cash. Namsu thinks the girls are paying attention to these guys. He also participates in their bragging because he doesn't want to be a loser, while the girls are just staring at them surprisingly. Meanwhile, Daniel enters the class, and they all look toward him, who has all the qualities without wearing any branded things. He took out Zach Lee right after he transferred, and Namasu is jealous of him because his stats are all perfect. A boy exclaims that there is something strange about him and also asks others to check out his old bag, saying that he only wears the same shoes. He didn't know because of his looks, but now they observe that he is unfashionable. They think he must be poor and seems like a prince, but he is poor. Everyone is listening to him while Jahong sits there quietly. On the other hand, in the architecture department, the students are talking about Vasco's defeat yesterday, and they all surround Jace and ask him if the rumors are true. Jace is silent at the moment and hopes that Vasco will appear there soon. Meanwhile, he receives text messages from Vasco, who tells him that he is going to fix his broken phone screen. He tries to show him a screenshot to tell how much his screen has broken, but he doesn't know that he can't capture a broken screen. He then decides to give them some answers and says he didn't spread rumors, so he must have another intention, and that Vasco will definitely be back. He tells those guys that these words are from Vasco, and one of them isn't happy that he is pretending to lead without Vasco. After that, when school is over, the students go outside. Jahong gets up when Daniel says goodbye. He likes him because he helped him out in the fight. Meanwhile, he receives a call from his mother and talks with her, who wishes him a happy birthday tomorrow, while Jaehong just watches him quietly. The girls watch him while leaving and say Daniel really looks like royalty, but the rumors are true. The guys make his fun and say he is so poor and has no watch. Daniel asks his mother not to come tomorrow, and the boys say they will let the girls know who he really is. On the other side, 4 students make a plan to beat Daniel, and one of them says Vasco told them to stay put. But others say they don't need to listen to Jace and will beat the new student, so Jace won't mess around. They decide to step on since he is always alone after school, while Jahong is there listening to their plans. At the same time, Daniel goes back to thinking it was always just his mom and him. But this time, he is truly alone. He is determined to work hard so that he can afford a birthday party. Meanwhile, Jaehong comes toward him from a side, and Daniel asks if he also lives there. He throws a bag in front of him with a birthday wish on it. Daniel is shocked that he is giving him a bag full of clothes and asks him how he knows it's his birthday today. He then says he can't accept it since it would be shameful to accept this. He guesses that Jahong is throwing all these clothes and he can throw them if they don't fit him. Daniel thinks he can take it if he is just going to toss it because he has nothing that fits this body. He thanks him and says he will definitely wear them, while he doesn't say a single word. Daniel turns toward him and asks him about his birthday, but he has gone so far. Suddenly, he sees toward a side where there are a lot of bags filled with clothes, and Daniel is shocked that there is more than one bag. He wonders if this is a normal birthday gift because he is giving him all these things. On the other hand, Jahong also beat all those guys who had made a plan to beat Daniel, and they are lying on the ground in an injured state. The next morning, the students and Namsoon plan to embarrass Daniel by asking him about his cheap clothes. But they are shocked when Daniel enters the class wearing expensive clothes. He is wearing the Balmain brand and its seasonal items. He also wears Valentino Como rock setup sneakers, a Givenchy Rottweiler backpack, and a Habolt watch. The girls are impressed by him and say he looks hotter than usual. His smile is glistening today, and he looks aristocratic. A girl asks him if he bought new clothes, and he replies that he got some cheap stuff. Namsu and his friends are also shocked and wonder if he got rich parents. Namsu is getting jealous and thinks he must be super rich, and he has to find even more expensive brands to look cooler. He asks him where he got it from his vintage wallet, and he replies that it's local and his mother gave it to him last year. Namsu is shocked that he is not ashamed that he has an old thing with him, while he compares himself to himself when he always complains to his mom. Daniel calls Jahong and wants to thank him, but he acts like he doesn't listen to him. He thinks the clothes he gave him look new and fit him perfectly, while Jahong just watches him with a smiling face. A day before his birthday, He wrote many practice lines to talk to Daniel and wanted to be friends with him. The next morning, at the OK Talent Agency, a vocal department student named Vinjin is giving an audition. He sings a song, and the agency owner likes him and his style. He asks his assistant if he is the last one and replies that one person is left. However, the last guy is a fat boy named Duke, and the agency owner really dislikes him. He scolds him for not considering guys like that, and Duke can hear their conversation. The man calls him and says he has their audition winner and can leave. Duke requests him to listen to him just once, but he rudely refuses. He leaves the agency sadly and thinks nobody wants to hear his voice. He takes out his journal and starts writing his lyrics. He thinks he will write down these emotions, and like Eminem, he writes lyrics on the bus. The girls whisper about him from behind, saying he must be an otaku, and he writes lyrics for an animation. Duke doesn't feel good, and the seat next to him is empty, but everyone stands there and doesn't sit with him. Duke starts putting his feelings down as lyrics and thinks Eminem was really poor, too. At night, he does the same thing, thinking that his poverty isn't a crime, and that one day, he will change his grandma's condition with his talent. The next morning, everyone congratulates Vin for being accepted at the OK Agency, and he brags that he feels bad since he is the only one who got accepted. He tells his friends that Duke also auditioned there, but wasn't selected. Suddenly, he comes to him and kicks him, saying he caused an embarrassment for him, and he was scared that he would pretend to be friends with him. Duke shows patience and thinks Eminem was also treated terribly. After some time, the students discussed the number one at the festival charity date auction. They decide by voting in each department, and only girls can bid, and the winner gets a date. The participants were guys from the fashion department, Zach and Jahong. One of them prefers architecture guys, and one of them likes the guy from the beauty department, Eli Jang, the only man in the beauty department. However, the real deal is that the transfer student, Daniel, and the girls from the other school will be bidding, too, so it won't be cheap. It is revealed that the all-time record is $1,000, set 2 years ago. Duke listens to their conversation but can't care less about the festival. Meanwhile, some students write the word pig on his uniform from behind and make his fun. A girl asks them about the students who perform at the festival and suggests Vin and Jeonggi. Jeong can sing and Vin can rap, and they exclaim that they will give a great show. After school, Duke comes to his grandma and asks if she sells a lot of hot dogs at her stall. The grandma asks him to eat something since he must be hungry. Duke refuses to eat, saying she has to sell them. Meanwhile, Vin appears there with his friends and asks if she is his grandma. They introduce themselves as his friends, and she happily offers them her food. They start eating immediately, and the grandma asks them to eat to their fill and be nice to Duke. She also packs some rice cakes for them to take, and Duke is worried to see that they ate everything and she couldn't be able to sell anything. After that, they throw the packed food in a dustbin, and Duke feels bad for his grandma. The next day, he enters the class, and the students make fun of him because Vin writes on the board that he should not eat from Duke's grandma's stall on the street. Duke is angry because they ate it all, and she has nothing to sell, but now they are making fun of her. He clenches his fingers in anger when Vin appears there and puts his head down. He asks why he blocked his way, and the students ask why he hates Duke so much. Vin replies that he hates him because he is ugly, and Duke thinks Eminem's is handsome, but he isn't. Meanwhile, the girl asks the students if there are any other festival show participants since she has to report them. Students think they can't challenge Vin, but are shocked when Duke raises his hand and says he wants to participate. He thinks he needs to struggle more to become an Eminem. After some time, Daniel enters the cafeteria and thinks he escaped the old school to save himself from bullies. He witnesses a fat student like him being bullied by Vin. He brings him food and asks him to bring some water, too. Jiho tells him that he is Duke from the vocal department and that he was just like him before he started eating with him. Guys like Daniel are everywhere, and they were destined to be at the bottom of the food chain, and it just had become easier for him because of his new physical body. Daniel calls Jiho and asks if he knows him. Then, he invites him over to their table, thinking there is no solution, even if he escapes somewhere else. After some time, all the groups stare at him, sitting with Jiho and Duke. They wonder why he is starting to hang out with the weirdos or if he is up to something. One of them praises him and says he is taking care of the weak. Meanwhile, Vin throws a glass toward Duke and asks him to bring some water for him. He calls Daniel, praises his beauty, and asks if he wants a cigarette. Daniel just looks at him and doesn't answer any of his questions. Vin observes Jaehong is staring at him angrily and wonders why he looks like this. Meanwhile, Zack calls him, asks him to get the water himself, and asks if his hand is broken. He observes Zack is not bullying anyone these days. He asks if he wants to mess up with him, and Zack asks if he can't see anything with those glasses on, and he bets he likes stealing honey butter chips. The three of them are scared to see them and think they are going to fight because of them. Vasco also interrupts and asks Vin to pick up his glass and bring his water. Daniel is shocked to see him. He hears Vasco is on rest and wonders if he is because of him and what if he takes revenge. Vin gets angry and asks if they are all trying to start something, and Vasco asks if his mother never taught him not to throw things on the floor. Daniel is frightened to see them and thinks he doesn't want to be involved in their fight. Vasco asks him to take off his glasses since he doesn't want to hit someone with glasses. He kicks a chair, gets up angrily, and leaves from there. The girls are impressed by the students from the fashion department. They surround Daniel and ask him if he is going in the charity date auction, and they will buy him if he goes there. A girl goes to Vin and says she knows he didn't fight. Meanwhile, Zack goes to Mira and says he doesn't like the guys who fight. After school off, Daniel cleans the classroom and remembers what the girl asked him today. He never thought he would hear these lines, and just thinking about it makes his heart race. He always hung out and sang alone at home, and he couldn't imagine singing in front of others. Now that he thinks about it, he is always alone. His mother went to work, and he lay on the floor and looked at the old ceiling. He was always alone, but some days he felt especially lonely. There were times when he was alone that he would get so down. He was lonely and wished he had someone to talk to. Sometimes he wanted to talk with someone, but there was no one, and when that happened, he sang to forget his loneliness. Suddenly, he feels someone's presence there, and it is Duke walking into the school. He has lyrics, but without a melody, they are dull, and he thinks it would be better if he could mix a rap and a song like Jeonggi and Vin. Suddenly, he hears Daniel's voice from his class, and he sings a song. Daniel thinks no one is there, so he sings to his heart. Duke starts crying over his sad songs and thinks he is unsure why his voice sounds so lonely, even though he is a perfect guy. He feels something common between them, and he feels empathy for him. Daniel hopes that no one has listened to his song, but he is shocked to see Duke there. He offers to perform together at the festival, and Daniel is shocked at what he just said. Duke exclaims that he needs him and that he feels honesty is his voice. Duke is sure that he must feel bad because of his proposal, and he isn't trying to capitalize on his popularity. He is confident in his rapping, and they will blow them away. He also asks to hit him if he wants to, but he needs to consider his proposal. Daniel is just shocked at his proposal and wonders if he can really do that. His introduction to the school changed, and now he is known as Daniel Park, an elite combination of looks, height, and wealth. Right after transferring, he took out Zack Lee, the hottest thing at school. He can even sing, and this surprising guy is at Duke's house right now. They plan to practice there for the festival performance, but Duke feels ashamed, thinking his house is shabby and that he has probably never seen a house like this. He wonders if he is disappointed by him. He calls him and asks why the lights are on during the day and he must pay more taxes. He also advises him to collect water and use it for laundry, and first use a tissue to wash oily dishes, not water. Duke is impressed by him and thinks he is much better brought up than he thought. After a while, he showed him a song he had written and recorded it in his voice. Daniel really likes his voice, and Duke says he is still in the early stages, so it may not be good enough, but after improving and mastering it, it will be a lot better. Daniel thinks he is the same age as him and from a similar background, but he wonders how he is so talented. He asks Daniel to start on the melody since he has a lot of appeal, so that it will work well. He doesn't want him to sound weak because his tone is a bit strong. He writes a melody for him and says he will sing it. This beginning is important. Daniel observes that he is really into music and always blames the world and his mother. After a while, he learns the song and sings it for him. Duke observes his voice is authentic, but his singing ability is lacking compared to his appeal. He needs something that takes time to improve, and he tells him that his vocal cords are weak so he has limitations. Unfortunately, his main focus should be on memorizing the song rather than improving his skill, and damaging his vocal cords is the worst, so he needs to be easy on them. Daniel feels pain in the evening because he sings too much in his throat. Duke asks him to take care of his voice, but he can't practice for too long because of his vocal cords. Meanwhile, his grandma calls them and asks them to eat something. Duke remembers the previous incident with his grandma and hopes that Daniel doesn't like them. He asks his grandma to stay at home since she is sick. His grandma reminds him of his mother. He calls her and says they have already eaten, and he also thanks her for thinking of him. The same night, when his fat body is at the convenience store, he thinks he needs to do more practice since there is not much time, and he wants to do well. He sings for a while, but his throat starts hurting, and he observes that his other body's vocal cords are healthy. When he lets one body's vocal cords rest, he can practice all day. He won't harm his voice and will be able to get enough practice, and he can practice a little harder while he is in this body. He can train his ear to the melody for 24 hours. He starts singing when the same girl from that day appears there. She praises his voice and says he has a lovely voice, and it's great to see he is enjoying his work. She demands 1 box of energy drinks and also gives 1 drink. Daniel is really impressed by her and thinks she is probably the prettiest girl he has ever seen, and he wonders if celebrities are like her. He again starts practicing, but this time Jiho and Duke appear there, and Jiho asks him if he remembers him from the last time. He apologized to him for hitting him and said he was a bit too shy to come alone. He has come with Duke to apologize for the incident, but he asks him to forget about it. After that, they come outside and start drinking. Daniel thinks the 3 of them make a sad trio. Jiho starts the conversation and says he has been bullied since entering this school. He came to this school because he liked clothes but met only bullies. Duke reveals he came there because he liked music, but it's hard to fit in with all the handsome and pretty students. After that, they discuss their stories of being bullied, and it was a bittersweet conversion for them. Jiho also smokes and says things have gotten better for him, and he says he smokes when he is sad. He tells them that he has someone to eat with after a student named Daniel transfers. At some point, a bully named Zach started to stop others from harassing him, so he is doing okay these days. Duke also tells him that he is also prepping for the festival concert with Daniel and eating lunch with him. He blushes when they praise his smart version and say that he is really a kind guy. Suddenly, Vasco appears, grabs Jiho's cigarette, and asks if what he just said is true. They are shocked to see that he put out the cigarette with his fingers, and they tell him everything about Daniel. After Vasco heard this about him, he stood by himself for a while and looked deep in thought. He then calls Daniel a part-timer and says he should work out since he observes that he is not weak. Moreover, he can come to him if he doesn't know how to fight. After saying those words, he left and returned to buy something to put on his burnt fingers. 10 days later, Daniel is practicing with Duke, and he is surprised to see that his skills have improved a lot in only 10 days. He praises him with his open heart and asks if he is always hiding his skills. Daniel practiced for 24 hours in 2 bodies, so the results are amazing. They are sure that their song is going to knock everyone dead. A few days later, the day of the festival arrived, and they had very high hopes for this day. The students are surprised to see a truck there, and the seniors from the practical music. He is DJ Rufy and has brought his entire music system, the same way he works at a club. The driver is DJ Chatty, and she graduated from their school. They start the festival, and everyone is enjoying their music. Their school was famous for their festival sites, and the photographic department students have put a stall there. Many people gathered, and each department also attempted to profit from the event. There is a range of ideas, like snack booths, cafes, etc. At the same time, in the fashion department, Zach and Daniel are allowed to have one of them be in the charity date auction. They will let them off the hook if they can make a profit. Zach and Daniel fight in the boxing ring, but he again dodges his attacks. They put a slogan to hit Daniel in a minute and double their money. The students know that this is all happening because they want to avoid the charity date auction. Ultimately, Daniel was chosen for the charity date auction, and several department performances were planned to show their skills. The beauty department student offers the girls the chance to cut their bangs, and they are all ready for the haircut he gives. The beauty department student sophomore is getting jealous and asks him how to cut hair like that. The girls are in line to get a haircut from Eli. At the same time, the baking department sells bread, and coffee is complimentary. But they don't have any customers in their stalls. The freshman, Ho-jiang, says he is not good at selling things and asks his senior, H-won, what he is doing there since it's only the freshman's duty. H-won gets hurt by this and says he didn't raise him to be like that, and he thinks Jeong will inherit this baker's knife. However, the baking department experienced a loss due to poor sales. At the same time, at the architecture department put a slogan to defeat Vasco and double their money. All the strong students from other departments come to challenge him. Jace gets scared to see them and asks him to do something else, something they can do with girls. He agrees to this, and after some time, Vasco and his friends make a board in which they have to throw water balloons on their faces. After seeing Vasco's picture, a girl asks another why she isn't throwing, and he replies she is scared to death. They leave without doing anything, and thereafter change profit is $0. It is revealed that the J High School Festival was famous for 3 stages of events. The first event up was their class fashion show, and the outfits were made by sophomores to be worn on stage. Zach doesn't like their outfits and says he could make something better blindfolded, but they chose him as a model because of his height. One of the models is their senior, Cho Ma, and he asks Zach what he thinks about his clothes. At the same time, he grabs Gong Jai, who made those clothes. He asks Zach about the boy standing beside him and asks if he is a famous transfer student. He asks Zach and Daniel to make a good partner unless they want to wear these clothes. This year, the fashion show again met everyone's expectations, and the following event was the charity date auction. The host introduces himself as H-won Kim from the baking department. Last year, he was sold for the highest bid, so this year, he is the MC, the highest earner traditionally because of next year's MC. For this event, girls bid on freshman guys until there is the highest bidder, and the winner gets an 8-hour date on her chosen day. All the money raised by the charity date auction will go to the charity. The first bachelor is Baeum Kim from the practical music department, and he sold for $65. The second bachelor is Ho Jiang from the baking department, and he sold for $80. The next one was Eli Jang from the beauty department, and he sold for $500. The next one is Vasco from the architecture department, and he is getting nervous from all this attention. But the girls are afraid of his scary looks, so the architecture department fails. The next one is Yuna from the vocal and dance department, and he sold for 50 cents. After that, it's Daniel's turn, and all the girls are impressed by his looks. The host says this guy is the real deal, and although he is a guy, he still thinks he is super handsome. The girls are fighting over him, and Daniel is confused because he has never gotten this much attention before. The host knew the response would be amazing, and he was surprised to see Lala Kim from Chanel Private School there. H-won calls Daniel and says he is doing this because he got the highest bid last year, and the girl Lala won. When DJ Rufy set the record for the highest bid 2 years ago, it was her again. He tells him that if she buys him, then the all-day date schedule is hellish. He makes him sacred, saying if she wins, then he is screwed up. They start bidding while Jaehong talks to them quietly. He tried to bid a while ago, but they refused, saying no male bidders were allowed. Zoe offers $300 to Daniel, and she saves up her money for this day, thinking she must have this date with Daniel. He is relieved to think Zoe is the winner and he can go on a date with her. But they are all shocked when Lala raises her hand and offers $1,000. Everyone looks at her shockingly, and Lala asks if they are looking towards her because she looks like a singer. The girls are crying because $1,000 is equal to Rufy's record 2 years ago. With her good looks and wealth, Lala thinks that boy will belong to her. Suddenly, another girl appears from the side and offers $2,000, and Daniel recognizes her as the nice girl from the convenience store. From her uniform, he assumes that she is a high school student. Lala raises her hand again and offers $2,500, but everyone is shocked when that girl offers $5,000 immediately. Lalakam is embarrassed to see herself getting defeated by her. She tries to provide her bag worth $7,000, but they refuse to take it since they give that money to charity, so they can't accept products as bids. After that, Daniel is sold for $5,000, while Jaehong tries to buy him in $10,000. but they refuse his offer because he is a boy. Vasco's friends are also shocked because a pretty girl like that paid that much for him. Zoe is crying because Daniel is going to go on a date with the winner, but not her. Vin gets jealous and asks what is so good about him when he is way better than him. On the other hand, the girl takes Daniel aside and thanks her. Her beauty impresses him, and he says the other girl almost won him. The girl asks if he thinks she won because she liked him, then he is wrong. Daniel wonders why her behavior is different all of a sudden, and she asks him not to look down on others just because he is handsome. Daniel is shocked and feels like he is being hit on his head because he never had those thoughts. He wants to call her to clarify things, but her guard grabs his hand. He asks her who he thinks he is going to touch. He is mad at himself for disrespecting someone else. He breaks the guard's grip and asks him to let him go. The guard is also surprised and tries to kick him this time, but Daniel changes his approach angle and dodges him. The guard likes his fighting style and thinks he is strong. Meanwhile, Vasco reaches out, grabbing one juice in his hand and the other in his mouth. Daniel says he wants to let them go, but must listen to the person paying him. Gunn likes him, says he has good eyes, and admits he is strong. He finds Daniel strong and agile, but it doesn't look like he works out. His first time meeting Gunn is impressive, and the girl calls him from behind and asks him just to keep watch. Gunn replies he was instructed to make sure that no one touches her. If someone tries to do so, he has the right to crush him. Meanwhile, Vasco approaches them and asks what he is doing, and Gunn asks him who he is or if he is his friend, and he replies that he is his friend. He asks him not to mess with him, or he has to mess with Vasco. Suddenly, Gunn reacts and punches his face, and he angrily asks him to take off his glasses. He is again surprised and asks if his punch didn't hurt him. He removes his glasses, saying that school is really funny. The girl wants to stop them, but they are ready to fight. But before they can attack, the girl grabs Gunn's hand and asks him to stop. She is worried because the fight will not end if he removes his glasses. He then calls Daniel and says he lost his reason since he hasn't fought for ages. He also asks Vasco to put his arms down now. He puts on his glasses again and says he needs to go down now, and the girl asks Daniel not to worry about the big money because it's not her money, and she is going to be donated anyway. She apologized to him and then disappeared. He didn't know why she was treating him so coldly. However, he can't forget how she looked at him with those sad eyes. After that, Vasco almost falls to the ground, and Daniel asks him if he is okay. He asks him about the man in glasses, but he says he can beat him if they fight again. He is sad that he is still too weak because he can't defeat that guy. Vasco looks upset, and Daniel thanks him smilingly for helping him. He remembers the three guys telling him that Daniel looked out for them and that he was really nice. He then offers his milk and says he found it on the street. Daniel wants to say no because he doesn't want to get a stomach, but he can't say so and grabs the milk. Vasco replies that he can beat him if they fight again. This is the first day that someone calls him a friend. On the other hand, Vin and Jeonggi performed in the vocal and dance department, and everyone was impressed by them. The festival's highlights started, and the CEO from OK Agency also appeared there. The amazing singer Wonho is also with him, and the host announces the next collaboration of the Foship and vocal and dance departments, Duke and Daniel. Daniel is ashamed because Duke has prepared himself according to the situation. He ignored his mind and just kept walking, and it felt like someone was thrusting him. He was so confused that he wanted to stop time, but it was moving on regardless. With his heart pumping, he strode out on the stage and saw something he had never seen before. Everyone praises him, saying that he looks like an idol star and his face shines brightly. They were all staring at him, and he just followed the picture that Jahong gave him. People like his clothes and say he has got sense. They ask him if he has a girlfriend, and he is embarrassed because they just ask him questions while ignoring Duke. He tells them that Duke led him and inspired him, and they call him a pet or many other names. Daniel observes he is being judged just like he was. However, they tell their song title, which is Beautiful Day. When the accompanying music started, his mind was a blank slate. He starts singing, but because of nervousness, he gets pitched off. Vin makes fun of this, saying he knows that he is just a straw man. Everyone is shocked to see them, and the response is icy. Daniel thinks the Duke's efforts have been wasted because of him. Duke interrupts and starts singing, and everyone is shocked to see how nice he sings. Daniel remembers he asked him to think of someone special when he goes to the stage. He needs to pretend that he is singing for that person, and then he will have no reason to be nervous. Daniel feels safe now since he is trustworthy, and he is so thankful that he is with him. He now thinks of someone special who can be no one else but his mom. He then thinks about his mother and starts singing, and this time, he sings so well that everyone gets shocked. He thinks he is a pathetic son who is so angry and rude only at home and causes her so much pain and disappointment. That bad kid is not standing up in front of all those people. They both sing beautifully, and everyone is shocked to hear them. They remember all the bad things they did to Duke. The agency owner also likes his voice and remembers that he rejected him because of his appearance. Vin is also shocked because, all this time, he mistreated him. After a while, their performance ended, and Daniel felt shivers for the first time in life. They receive a heartwarming response from the audience. The girl appreciates them and asks them to take a picture with them. They exclaim that they are way better than Vin and Jeonggi. Daniel is happy that Duke is recognized. The CEO asks Duke if he is the same kid who came for the audition. He apologizes to him for his behavior and appreciates his song. He gives him his card with his direct number and asks Daniel to contact him. Daniel is shocked to see this and asks what about his friend. The CEO replied that his friend was good but not a fit for this field. He can never make it in this field with his appearance. He asks Daniel to sign a contract with him right away, and he will support him in any way he can. Daniel asks him about expenses, and he offers him $200 a month, but he refuses by saying he needs to pay his living expenses and can't do it. Duke had disappeared before he knew, and that day, their video went viral on social media. That was his second video that got over 10,000 after the one that starred him getting hit by Zack. But he was shocked to see that they had edited out Duke. He is really sad because his life hasn't changed a bit after that incident, and he expresses his feelings in a song. After that day, Duke started a live stream on Paprika TV, and he stopped by his house in his fat boy on his way to work. He told him he was starting a music show. He tells him that his broadcast is set up and hopes that people will come and watch him. After the festival, he was worried Duke would be devastated, but he is strong. People open their channel but make fun of seeing two fat boys and call them pigs. Daniel says they get a rude response even though they haven't started yet. The first test broadcast had harsh results, and Duke says he will stop for now. He got 10 balloons, and one balloon is worth 10 cents. If he collects 1,000 balloons, he can exchange them for money at a 40% fee. He is not interested in balloons, but the top streamers earn major cash. Jiho told him that there is a top streamer in the fashion department, and her name is Yui Kim. She is also a Daniel fan and tells him she loved her performance. She recently started being very generous to him, and she brings him an expensive wallet. He remembers the wallet belongs to an expensive brand because his mother pulled out that bag for every special occasion. He thanks her but refuses to take the wallet, saying this is too much. He wonders why this popular girl is so nice to him. It was the first time in his life that he had someone he was interested in, and he hoped their eyes would meet. He gets a new feeling of liking someone. During their off time, Zoe comes to the girls and asks if they can go to do karaoke, but Yui refuses, saying she wants to go shopping. The other girls also refuse Zoe's offer and are ready to go with Yui. Zoe likes a pouch at the market and asks them if she should buy it, but Yui says it's ugly and doesn't suit her. The next day, she finds that pouch in Yui's hand and is surprised because she said it was ugly yesterday. She goes to them and is about to say something, but they ignore her and don't listen to her. Meanwhile, Daniel enters the class, and Yui runs to him to ask if he likes her pouch. Zoe stares at them and thinks Daniel is rich, while Yui earns a lot from her live stream. They are a perfect couple and look good together, much better than me and him. After school, a boy named Du from Zack's group offers them expensive cigarettes. They observe that he has suddenly become a big spender, and Zack asks him if he robbed someone since he spends a load of money these days. He tells them that he started a live broadcast, and Daniel is surprised to see another live streamer. He asks them if they want to come and watch his broadcast. He takes them with him, and they are shocked to see that Du does weird things for some balloons. He earned 400 balloons in one broadcast doing all the stunts. He asks if they also want to do this, and he will teach them. He tells them he is looking for a girl's private steam and finds Zoe in another broadcast, where she earns 1,000 balloons instantly. On the other hand, she is shocked to see that she got 10,000 balloons today, and just like Yui, she is really in high school. She just told them she was in high school and showed some cleavage, and a person named Gangnam Landlord gave him more than 5,000 balloons. On her first day, Zoe had made dozens of times as much money as due, and she is happy thinking she is going to be rich. She thinks she won't let Yui take Daniel away from her. At the same time, Yui is streaming and getting balloons one after the other. She announces that she started playing Heroes of the Storm and wonders why she hasn't seen Gangnam Landlord today. She then ends her broadcast thinking she raked in the cash but didn't feel good about Gangnam. After her broadcast, she thinks this place is too exposed, but she can't broadcast from home. She thinks broadcasting from a shoebox apartment isn't easy. Suddenly, a boy appears from the side and asks her how long he has to keep hiding during broadcasts. He asks her how long they have to keep their relationship a secret, and she asks him to be patient a little longer because if the suckers find out she has a boyfriend, then they won't give her balloons. She gives him an expensive wallet, says she bought it for him, and he becomes happy. She asks him if he likes it and thinks she wants to get rid of him as soon as possible. On the other side, a boy named Woong is crying over his breakup in the architecture department. Jace consoles him, saying guys fall really hard for their first love, and asks him to chin up because first loves are always like that. Some are making him fun because he got dumped, and one of them exclaims he was really stuck on his first girl, and he presented her with milk daily. Vasco listens to their conversation quietly, and some tears drip down his face, thinking about someone. At the same time, Yui goes to Daniel, and he asks her what she thinks about fat people. She replies that it's not important to her. These days, he can't stop thinking about Yui and doesn't know why he is like this. She is in his head, and he always wants to see her. He thinks she is different from other girls, innocent and sweet. He can't get his head on straight. Yui looks toward Zoe, who is watching them with a sad face. Conversely, Duke tries to sing on his live broadcast, but no one listens to him, and he still barely has any viewers. Jiho is worried about him because no one is watching him. He suggests they should ask Daniel to join him and says everyone loves his song at the festival because of Daniel. Duke replies that he has bothered him enough because of the festival, and that Daniel has already done all he can. He smiles and says he can't cause him any more trouble, and he doesn't want Daniel to be judged there, too. The same evening, when Yui broadcasts, she is shocked to see Zoe's ranking climbing so fast. She is even stealing her cute phrases, and she is even up to one of the top broadcasters in a week. She is also shocked to see that Gangnam Landlord is giving her thousands of balloons. He is just trying to own the broadcasters with balloons, and she is relieved he is not following her anymore. She goes so far because of Zoe, but still, guys are giving her balloons. She has an evil smile on her face and says that pretty girls have all the power. Meanwhile, Duke is trying very hard but hasn't received any views. The number of viewers is dwindling, and he is worried about this. Daniel appears there and says he let himself in because the door was open. He asks him if they can do a song together, and maybe they can sing their festival song. He agrees to join him, and they both sing a song. This time, people like them because he has a handsome guy sitting beside him. He receives multiple balloons from girls, and they start a song, hoping people like them. Lala also saw the broadcast and recognized Daniel from J High School on festival day. She thinks it's their destiny to meet again, and sends him 1,000 balloons instantly. Suddenly, another girl gives him 2,000 balloons, and she thinks she asks her for a challenge. She then sends 3,000 balloons, but in the end, she spends all of her allowance but loses to that anonymous girl. She is not a girl, but Jahung, on the other side, who is sending him balloons. That day, Duke receives a total of 32,000 balloons, and his income is around $2,000. He was shocked that it was so easy to make money. The same night, he does his job again and gives a man his order. His mind is disturbed because the money that was made today was a month's salary there. He wonders what he should do with the money he got from Duke. Duke wanted to give him all the money they had made that day, but he refused, and they decided to split up. He thinks he will get a gift for his mother and thinks he needs to buy something for Yui with the rest of his money. Suddenly, he is shocked to see Yui enter the store with another guy. She asks him if he doesn't feel cold. Daniel wonders who that boy is and thinks he may be her brother, and she brings him because it's too late. He thinks his brother is the polar opposite of her, and it must be tough for her to live with him. But he is shocked when she buys a pack of condoms, and he wonders why she would buy such an adult product with her family. She observes Daniel staring at her, so she insults him and asks why he is looking at her with such eyes. She also calls him a pig. The boy asks her not to buy those since she is annoyed, while Daniel still hopes they are siblings. The boy asks him to lower his eyes, and he knows what he thinks when he looks at her. Daniel is shocked and wonders if she is really the Yui he knows from school. He knows Yui is so kind and innocent, but this Yui doesn't look like her. The boy calls him and asks him to say something, but he is shocked to see her. The boy slaps him with his full might, but he dodges him. His name is Yang Li, and he developed that punch for 10 years, but no one had ever been able to dodge him. The loud sounds brought Daniel back into the present while Yang was about to attack him again. Daniel gets scared to see this when Zack suddenly appears there and asks him to stop. Yang asks him about who he is, and Yui tells him that they are in the same class. Zack also recognizes her and thinks her boyfriend looks like a gangster. Daniel is worried about seeing them and wonders what will happen if they go at it together. Zack wonders if he gets beaten up all the time, and he asks Yang if he can't hit him since he owes him something. Yang doesn't like him and says he is arrogant and kids nowadays have no respect. He asks if he doesn't know who he is, and he has never heard of Yang from Jian High School, while Zack observes the wallet in his hand. He calls Yui and says she is nervous and she has had a boyfriend all along. He reveals that she tried to give that wallet to Daniel, but he refused it. Yui shouts at him and asks his boyfriend to leave, saying this boy is an idiot, but he stops her and asks Zack to speak. Zack reveals that there is a pretty boy in their class, and Yui loves him so much that she brings him gifts. The pants he wore were a gift too, but Daniel turned her down. Daniel starts crying after seeing this, and Yui claims that Zack is telling a lie and that he is saying it because he likes her. Yang asks him how he knows all this, and he replies that he sits right next to him. Yang gets angry at this, and before she can say anything to justify herself, he punches her and injures her. Zack and Daniel are shocked to see his action, but he starts beating her badly and asks how many times he will have to forgive her. He puts his shoe on her head and asks if he is some kind of joke to her, and she has been sneaking around those people who give her balloons. Daniel tries to stop him, and Zack calls them and asks them to leave from there, saying they are both trash. Yang leaves Yui and comes to Zack to fight him, while Daniel thinks he should call the police now. On the other side, Zoe is on a broadcast, and a man named Gangnam is treating her again today by giving her a lot of balloons. She thinks she needs to hook him for real because he is easy and rich. On the other side of the screen, a man named Gangnam is watching her and thinks she is so innocent. His savings are down to $60, and he doesn't have many balloons left to give. He will see his savings to buy more balloons and make do with just 1 cup of ramen tomorrow. He thinks she is different from Yui, and he waited outside her house, but she was with that gangster. People ask him what he does because he has so much money, and he is, in fact, a laborer, but he makes a lie that he has a couple of companies. His life was screwed up by society and his parents. Since his father is disabled, so his society has not been fair to him. The incompetent government did nothing for a talent like him. In the meantime, another man appears there and starts giving balloons to Zoe. He thinks he needs to use the rest of the savings on balloons, and a man needs to take charge in front of women. He now has 0 savings for tomorrow, so he has to come up with some money to give her balloons. He doesn't want to be a laborer because that work doesn't suit someone high class like him. He thinks it's all because of society, and he had planned to save $9 million by now. The handicap pension of his father is all the money he has now, and he is determined to propose to Zoe and will marry her one day. His father calls him for food since he has been hungry for many days, but Gangnam doesn't listen to him and is lost in Zoe's dreams. He thinks if they get married, then all her money will be his. At the same time, Yang and Zack are about to fight, and he calls him to come to him, but he won't hit him. He is about to punch him, but Zack grabs his hand, shocking him. He then pulls back his hand, asks if he gets scared by him, and tries to hit him again, but he dodges him again. He calls Yui and asks if she is close to Mira, and she replies she is not that close to her. He asks her to promise him that she won't see her today and won't tell Mira anything, and in return, he will keep him away from her. He exclaims a man who hits a woman is not a man, and this time, he punches Yang with his full might. He tries to get up and thinks losing there will humiliate him, so he again rushes toward Zack to attack him. Zack dodges him every time and hits him instead. Daniel is also surprised to see that he is so fast with one hand, and he wonders if this is some kind of boxing technique because it is different from a straight one. Daniel found out later that it was a jab, and his stance had now changed. Zack creates a semi-circular punch and hits his face badly. Yang gets injured and falls to the ground badly. It was the first time Daniel had seen such a move, and he loaded his weight, which had more force than a straight. He asks Yang not to hit a girl, no matter how bad they act. He says multiple things, and Yui is about to thank him, but he interrupts and asks her not to say a single word. He tells Daniel that he doesn't owe him anything. He also asks him to take a swing if he thinks it's unfair. At the same time, Vasco is exercising in a gym, but he seems lost in some thoughts, and tears are dripping over his face. A few days later, Gangnam has blown everything. The disability pension is also all gone, and he can't buy any more balloons. Zoe has been ignoring him, and another loser is going to steal her. He is worried and wonders how she can do this to him. Until now, she has accepted all his love. He thinks she has betrayed him and that she is just like Yui. He thinks life is unfair to him, and he can't forgive her. While thinking this, he bites his own finger so hard that it starts bleeding. Meanwhile, she ends her broadcast, and Gangnam thinks he needs to meet her first before confessing his love for her. He takes her picture and zooms out her window to see through it. The pixelation makes it hard to read, and he searches for all the words it could be. He will search for all apartments in the country with a similar name. He gets more than 100 results and starts searching one by one on Street View. He is sure she must be in a villa on the second floor across the street. As the sun sets behind, her palace must face south, and he looks for possible locations. He is happy that they are really going to meet and he will marry her. The following day, Zoe goes to school and thinks she just needs more balloons so she can beat Yui. After that, she will get Daniel from her. At the same time, Gangnam reaches behind her and is happy that he finds her after all. A few days later, Zoe asks her mother about her laundry since she can't find them anywhere. She replies that she may have stuck them somewhere, but she remembers she definitely took them off and put them in. She is worried because her stuff is going missing these days. Gangnam is the one who stole her clothes and also watches her from her window. Daniel is at his job at night, and it is still hard to believe that Yui is a girl like that. Meanwhile, Gangnam enters there, and Daniel thinks this guy comes there every day and always buys only whiskey. He always stares at his phone and wants to see what he sees there. He looks toward his phone and is shocked to see that he is watching Zoe's broadcast. He wonders why he is watching that, even while walking. Suddenly, Gangnam observes him looking at his phone and stares at him with flashy eyes. Daniel gets scared to see him and says he will pay for his bottle in apology. He then takes away the bottle, and Daniel is still shocked at his actions. Conversely, Zoe comes outside to throw garbage in the street. She is talking to someone on the call and says she is on a roll and suckers are blowing all their money on her. She hangs up the call and thinks it's too dark and scary there. Suddenly, Gangnam calls her and says he needs directions, but she gets scared to see him. She wonders if this weird man asks for her directions on this dark street. She refuses and says she doesn't know the directions. Suddenly, Daniel appears from the side and asks her to run away. She doesn't understand what is happening and wonders where he has seen this guy before and how he knows her name. Daniel turns toward her and asks her to run, saying this man bought a knife. In the meantime, he takes out his knife and is about to attack them, and asks Zoe how she can call her husband a sucker. Daniel is scared of him, but Zoe will be in danger if he moves. Suddenly, in a flash, he thinks of Zack's moves and punches him backward. Gangnam loses his balance, and the knife falls to the ground. Next, he swings his body just like Zack and tries to punch him again. But his circumference is so short that Gangnam dodges him. He needs to be closer to the opponent to face him. Gangnam tries attacking him again, saying Zoe is all his and pushing him away. Zoe suddenly remembers Daniel from the night when he came to pick up smart Daniel with him. Meanwhile, Gangnam grabs the knife and jumps upon them to attack, saying he has done nothing wrong and it's all their fault. Suddenly, Vasco appears there and hits him with a dumbbell. He appreciates Daniel for his fighting skills and says he really likes him. Gangnam then turns toward him and says he will kill him, while Vasco asks him to deal with him now and that he has seen everything. A while ago, when Gangnam buys a knife and also watches Zoe's broadcast, he gets suspicious and starts following him. He also called the police because he couldn't leave the store empty for long. He calls the police and informs them about a man with a knife in the street, and they ask him about his location. He has doubts and they say they will send an officer for him. He thinks about someone else who can help him and thinks about Vasco. He calls and tells him about the situation and that he is talking to Zoe. Meanwhile, Gangnam approaches Zoe and runs to save her, leaving Vasco on call. He doesn't tell him the location, but he finds him quickly and saves them. Daniel observes that he ran carrying a barbell and didn't have the time to leave it. Gangnam approaches him and says he will kill them all. He asks Zoe to think about how many balloons he gave him, and he jumps upon them, saying he did nothing wrong. Vasco grabs his hand and throws him away. He lifts him in the air and asks him to throw his knife. Daniel and Zoe are shocked to see his tremendous strength, and Vasco is about to hit him when his father appears there and asks him to stop. He is on a walker, apologizes to them for his son, and says he is the only son. Vasco throws him away, but he scolds his father for following him and asks what would happen if Zoe hates him because of him. His father grabs Vasco by the legs and asks him to forgive his son. Gangnam shouts at him and asks his father to get lost from there and asks what he has ever done for him. By looking at him, Daniel remembers his old self. Vasco shouts at him and says people rejected him for his looks and disrespected him, discriminated against him. Girls only care about money, and they don't look at nice guys like him. At that time, Daniel felt empathy for him. Vasco interrupts and says he doesn't know what he is saying, but asks him not to blame others. He asks him to create a difference in himself and other people, but Gangnam replies he can't overcome it no matter how hard he tries. Vasco replies he overcame it, and with those words, Vasco shook him to the bone. Meanwhile, the police also approach there, and his father requests them to forgive his son, but they don't listen to him and take him away. He was busted red-handed, and as soon as the cops showed up, people came out of the shadows. Vasco asks Daniel if he is alright, and Zoe hugs him and asks if he is hurt anywhere. She asked him if that must have hurt so much, and an endless night went by like that. He then remembered his stores, where he wrote a note that he went to the restroom, and many customers were waiting for him outside. That night lasted a bit longer for him, and the next day in class, he thought about yesterday's incident. Vasco's words kept spinning in his head, and after that, Zoe quit broadcasting. She came to Daniel and wished him morning, and Daniel observed that she seemed really traumatized by the incident. She asks him about his chubby friend and asks where he lives, and he asks why she is asking about him. She realizes that she shouldn't ask Daniel about him, and he observes that she seems to suffer after effects. Meanwhile, Yui enters the class, and everyone observes that she has been hurt badly. He says hello to her and doesn't understand what he should say. Zach is surprised to see that she is still flirting in that condition. She gives him a handkerchief and says she bought it for him, but this time, she gives it to Zach. He is shocked and wonders if getting hit knocks her senseless. She tells him that she broke up with Young and thanks him for yesterday. Mira is watching them, and Zach replies they didn't meet yesterday and that she must have had a dream. At that moment, Zach looked as troubled as he was. Conversely, the number of Duke's viewers kept rising, and the people now seemed to understand talent. On her way home, Yui thinks about Zach and guesses that he likes Mira. Meanwhile, Gun appears there and asks if she is the Yui streamer. She asks him about who he is, and he asks her not to be scared of him. He has come to offer a business opportunity. On the other side, Zach follows Mira and clarifies that it's not what she thinks, but she ignores him and says there is nothing between them anyway. He faces Yang, who has been waiting for him. Mira asks him if he fought again, and she leaves him there. The adults watch them, making Zach fun without seeing his face. One of them asks him if he sent the girl because he doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of her. They make him fun because he starts crying. They ask him to face them, and they aren't that scared. Zach turns his face toward them and asks why they always treat him like this. They are shocked to see him there, while Zach cries and says he has nothing left to lose. Yong brings them to fight Zach, but they are scared of him because he once beat them. Zach asks them to be prepared, but he has no patience today. They try to tell him something, but Zach jumps upon them and starts beating them. The next day, Zach calls Namsu and says he is always on Craigslist. He tells him that he can't find the limited edition Jordans. He asks him to find some for himself, and he is not good at using Craigslist. But from Namsu's point of view, he orders him to find the Jordans or get beaten. Later, he tries to find them at a given price, but they are nowhere to be found. He has no choice but to beg the sellers for them. He texts someone if he wants to sell his Jordans for $300, but he refuses to give him. He then texts another person and offers him $300, but this time he agrees but says they are ripped. He texts many people, but no one agrees. Namsu thinks Zach has no idea about the value of these shoes, and he guesses he will have to kick in his own money to get them. Suddenly, someone agrees to give his Jordans for $300 and asks if he can send them by courier. Namsu is scared of this service because they sent a brick the last time he bought a digital camera. He is scared because it's Zach's cash and wonders what would happen if it was a scam. He asks the person to see him in person since he needs to meet him in person, while he asks him to talk on Messenger. He checks his profile photo and finds out that she is a girl and seems very pretty. He then talks to her and asks why she sells men's shoes.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more.